In this tutorial, I want to show you how you are going to export your files as raster images, as JPEGs, so that you can submit those for evaluation. Okay, so you have all of your scenes set up. I'm still missing one. It's called the personal one, but I want you to come up with your own, and that one will also be part of the files that are submitted. So I'm going to that one open right now. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to come up to File, and then from File, you're going to hover over Export. And from Export, you're going to select 2D Graphics. Give that a click. In 2D Graphics, this is already pointing to my folder. I ran a test earlier. So what I want to do is change the options. I want it to be JPEG, so make sure you have it set to that, JPEG here. And I know it shows you PDF. Feel free to try that, but for now, we're going to stick with JPEG. I can output or export JPEG. Now, you need to go into the options. In the options, I already made changes to mine. Yours is going to say use view settings like this. And if you use the settings, it's going to output based on what you see on screen, and it's going to default to 72 dots per inch. That's the typical export resolution for files. And they just assume you want to show this online, and the resolution there is 72. However, I want you to have a really nice image that you can add to your portfolio. So we're going to turn off use view settings, and we're going to set up our own. And when you do this, you want to take into consideration the fact that when you export this, when you upload it, we want it to be at least 17 inches wide. Now, how many pixels is that? Here's how you do the math. You take the highest value, which is the 17 inches wide, and then you're going to multiply that by the resolution that I would like you to use here. And that's going to be 300 dots per inch. And that's a decent quality image. So if I take 17 inches and I multiply that by 300 pixels per inch, I'm going to have a total of 5,100 pixels. So I'm going to change that here to 5,100. Now, you'll notice how the height is also changing because it wants to keep proportions here. I also did the calculations on the height. I want this to be 11 inches in height. So when I take 11 and I multiply that by 300, I get 3,300 pixels. Now, this is under that value, and that's okay because I don't, this can vary, this height can vary, but definitely the overall width, I want that to be the 17 inches. So that's the setting that you want. Now, it doesn't hurt sometimes to go in here on the height and change that to 3,300 just to see what happens to the width. But I don't want you to make any changes like that because I'm pretty sure all of your images are going to be longer than they are higher. But I'm just throwing that out there for you in the event that you do another rendered view and you really want to make sure that you capture the 11 inches high because you're going to crop out the sides. So it doesn't need to be the full 17. So just in case, but we want to make sure that ours is the full 17 inches wide at 300 pixels per inch. When I do the math, 5,100 is going to be the pixel size. Okay. The rendering, the anti-aliasing, leave that on. And then for this JPEG compression, you always want better quality because you do want it to be a compressed file, nice and well packed, but you don't want to lose any quality on it. So this is a good choice. So then go ahead and click OK. And then on the file name, keep going with your first initial, last name. And then this one, we're going to be calling it drone because that's the drone view based on the scene name. And then the others, as you save them, it's going to be eye level exterior, it's going to be eye level interior, section, and then personal. So first initial, last name, these are the views. They're going to come in as JPEGs. Go ahead and export that out. And it will take just a second to export the file. Be patient because it is going to be a bigger file size. And then I'm going to Alt Tab here on my screen to get me to my window there. And I'm going to refresh this view. Actually, I'm going to come out of it, go back into it. and then go to my date modified, switch that again. And there's my drone view. I'm going to double click that. And this opens up in the Photos app. So I'm going to maximize that. This is the image, and you'll see I'm at 30%. And if I zoom in closer, all the way to 100%, let me get there. There we go. Too far. 100. You see how it is not pixelated. It has very good resolution. And that's because we saved it at 300 dots per inch. So you'll be able to put this into your portfolio, and at 17 inches, it's going to have decent resolution. Go ahead and minimize this, and then I'll minimize that, and then go ahead and switch over to the next view. Here's an opportunity if you'd like to make changes to anything before you print out, go right ahead. Just make sure that you come back up here, right click, and go ahead and update, and then go ahead and print it out. So file, we're going to go to export, hover over that, 2D graphics. Which folder do you want to put it in? If you want, you can change the file name now. So I'm just going to do that. So this is going to be eye level exterior. And then under options, it will remember the settings from before. So that's fine. I go ahead and click OK. And then export that out. And once that's done, you're all set. Keep going with the others, and then you have those images saved. One last thing I want to mention here, and has nothing to do with anything we're doing related to the class, the assignments. This is on the professional side. I've had to export a lot of views, especially when we use rendering software. And sometimes I'll put like anywhere from 5 to 20 images because we're changing materials to see what that looks like, sky color, all sorts of different things. When you do more than one rendering per day, or if you know you're going to have a lot of renderings, what I like to do is I like to export those out. And let me just show you under my 2D graphics here. I will go ahead and I'll put in the year, and I do the full year. So let's say I was doing this a few years back, 2023, right, would be the year. But the format on that would be the years, all 4, right? Here. Let's say I was doing this in the month of September. So that's going to be 09. The day I was doing it was, let's say, the 10th of September, 10. And then after that, I do a dash, and I start with 01. And then the next render I do, which could be 2 minutes later or 20 minutes later, that's going to be 02. The next one, 03, 04, because they're on the same day. And then let's say I come back the next day and we're still on this same project. We have to generate more rendered views because we're just trying to study different settings, different materials. So the next day would be 11-01. After that, 02, 03, 04, and so on. And that's how you would, or that's how I'm recommending that you would do this. So 2023, 09, let's say 20-01, like this. And then it's easier that way instead of going with descriptive names. We're using descriptive names because we're only doing 5 renderings at most, and you're welcome to render more out. But when you start to do a lot, and this will happen, the format that I'm showing you is a better solution. And I say that based on experience, because I don't need to give a description. I can always preview the thumbnail based on the date, and I find it, I can find the image that way, just as easy. So just a side note is all. Wanted to share that so I don't forget, because I've seen people save trying to use descriptive names, and we run out of descriptive names. We really do, and it's not good. So that's the format. Just want to share that out. I'll cancel out. And that'll do it for the printing side of things. And then make sure you're uploading to wherever it needs to be uploaded. You're all set. And you can go back to your default view, keep making changes to the model, you want to save more views, whatever you'd like to do, more than welcome to. You're not limited to just what I have suggested. You can do more, and definitely go in there and feel free and look at the styles and make some changes there if you'd like as well. There's a lot that you can do. Okay, that's all I want to share out. Thank you.